I mean, in the past you have to be an optimist to do your job. Are you still feeling optimistic about the industrial side of all this?
Yes, I am feeling optimistic because we've had discussions recently with the President of Brazil, President Lula, who has encouraged us to believe that that will be Brazil's position. I've talked also to the President of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, who has also acknowledged that real cuts for real cuts have to feature in the final outcome. I believe that's the view of the Prime Minister of India as well, that he's presented those India's views to us. But there are some others who are more on the sort of rejectionist side of things, who don't want to make that effort and make that contribution. They, of course, have it within their power to derail the entire talks because the World Trade Organization operates on the basis of consensus. But if they were to contemplate doing that, they would take a very, very onerous responsibility onto their shoulders. I mean, people across the world would see that action for what it is, a major blow against the health and welfare of the global economy, and a major blow in particular for developing countries, particularly the poorest developing countries, who stand to gain so much from a successful conclusion of this round.
Now, it's interesting, isn't it? All this kicked off in 2001. I think there have been two major stumbling blocks along the way. But the growing and serious food crisis has meant that, curiously, import tariffs are being cut or done away with in more than 20 countries across the world. That's ironic, isn't it?
Well, it's ironic if you listen to some who believe that the answer to food shortages is to increase protectionism. Which seems a very perverse conclusion to me to come to. Look, what we've got to do is, first of all, increase food aid to meet emergency needs amongst the poorest countries.
The US has announced a package today. Is the EU
They've done so. We did so previously last month. Secondly, we need to stimulate and invest in greater agricultural and food production in all parts of the world. Thirdly, we have to reject trade restrictions. That will simply exacerbate the problem and create greater scarcity. Fourthly, we need to keep a watching eye on the balance between production, agricultural production and biofuels production, what we use from the land to produce either food or energy. In our enthusiasm for biofuels, we not only have to maintain the environmental acceptability and sustainability of that biofuels production, but we also have to watch the balance of land use between energy purposes and agriculture.
And do you think that balance is wrong at the moment? There is some dispute about this as a factor in the food crisis.
Well, I don't think it's wrong at the moment, but we've set some very ambitious targets for biofuel production. I support those targets, but I also believe very strongly that biofuels production must reach very strict environmental and sustainability criteria. If we fail in meeting those criteria, then in our efforts to tackle the problem of carbon emissions, we could actually be making the situation worse rather than better.
All right, let's turn to the United Kingdom. Various former colleagues of yours have pointed out the essential strength, resilience, the vigour of the British economy as the world possibly faces a recession. Do you think that the UK has a resilient economy anymore?
I think the fundamentals of the UK economy are strong. We have a flexibility, a dynamism to be seen in this economy, levels of investment, a sense of enterprise and entrepreneurialism, all of which are strong, and I don't believe will be dented by what's going on in the rest of the world. But you can't ignore what is going on in the rest of the world. It will have its effect. It will make its impact. What, therefore, the British government has got to do is to steer a very clear, stable course through what are going to be some very choppy waters this year. I go around the world as Europe's Trade Commissioner. I know how these global problems are unfolding and hitting different economies on every continent. We're not going to be exempt from the impact of the problems that have been created, both in the financial markets, but also the sort of cascading effect of the credit crunch on production and different levels of production and sizes of company across the developed world. So we're not immune. We can't isolate ourselves, but I think that the course that the British government is steering is a sensible one, it's a stable one, and I think it will see us through it.
Right. As one of the architects of New Labour, do you think that the New Labour project is in safe hands with Gordon Brown?
Yes, I think it is. I mean, it's in different hands. His hands are not Tony Blair's hands. He has his own distinctive approach and his own sort of version, if you like, of New Labour. But I think he's faithful to the principles and the tenets that we set in place when we created the New Labour project, and I have that confidence.
What must he do to turn around the opinion polls?
I think people are worried about the economy more than sort of angry or disappointed about the government. They want, obviously, to feel